Hi everyone. Today is Tuesday, January the 21st, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. I do want to urge everyone to disconnect a little bit from all the noise that is coming across the airwaves in all different kinds of ways. Big changes very quickly always make us a little bit nervous, a little bit uptight, and we are going through all kinds of changes as a new a new administration comes. So I want us all to just take a deep breath, not so deep that you end up making yourself lightheaded, but a deep breath so that you can focus and just think about the charts. All right? Don't think about whatever it is that might be cluttering your mind. Just be clear and let's take a look at the charts. All right. Starting today, we are looking at the ES and the daily chart, and we can see that we are still in that range that puts us at the 1618 Fibonacci retracement of the wave action that I created from July to August the 5th, where a lot of the markets were bottoming in that area. And what we see right now is a little bit of a topping formation, but a lot of buying pressure underneath. So why would I say that? We see higher lows and we are sitting above these important averages that we consider. Right now, we're sitting right inside of that VWAP messy space. Support levels today remain around the 6,000 zone. If we break that area, it will look like more downward action with a target near 59.15. If we breach that 6024 area, and that's 6,024, of course, we should be able to head back into 6050 and then 6068. Anything can happen here, but from a daily perspective, we are still looking at a buy the dip. Hourly perspective says the same thing. We are very range-based in my mind, with the wide range, lower edge, 6,000, and you'll need a stop that's really about 10 points wide there. So you might want to wait to see if it comes in and holds the zone on, say, a 15-minute time frame instead of the hourly. If it pulls back there to hold, looks like a nice support zone. If the market stays buoyant today, we could see a pullback into shallow motion at around 60.32. That's also a nice intraday buy zone. Don't give yourself too much risk there. I think about, 5 points at the most. A breakout above this 60.35 will lead us to 60.60. Right now we are above 60.35. Our resistance area all the way up at 60.88. And then if we take a look at the Keltner bands, we are at 60.90. This, of course, is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and I just had to jump into everything before announcing where we were at. All right, let's take a look at the NQ. The NQ is in that same space of lower highs, but breaking through near-term resistance and coming into resistance that is now sitting around 21,785. Pullbacks look to be buy zones also here in the space, and we have momentum that's pushing us up into this ledge. Dips should be buys. If we can get into the 21,400 area, we might have a very nice long there with about a 20-point stop up into 21,785 and then 22,000. So we could have ourselves a fairly bullish day. It looks bullish, but sloppy, not trending straight up. And that's something that we have to always pay attention to. And we pay attention to that by managing our risk events. If we look at the hourly chart, we can see a little bit more congestion right around 21,550. That's going to give us our first ledge of the day that says, hey, potentially we've got buyers sitting right there around that 21,550 zone, sends us up into 21,785, and bullish pressure will likely make the sellers buy to cover, and that sends us up into 21,895 intraday. If we break 21,550, that's short action. It should send us right down into the point of control, and that's down at this 21,385 to 21,400. Let's take a look at the YM. That's the mini Dow. The daily chart does look like a reversal pattern is in, telling us that pullbacks are buy zones. We have something up here. Momentum is high. We are above the moving averages. We have a little bit of a sideways slope, so we could press higher, but pullbacks going to give us a better bet for upside pressure. That number today, value area high, 43,055. If we get down that low, going to be very nice. We'll allow ourselves to see that bounce potentially all the way up into 44,800 by the end of the week. Now, I do think we have a rotation first or a blow off top intraday that pulls us back into support and gives us another higher low in general. So if we look at the intraday motion staring down the 1 hour chart, we can see that there's a lot of buying pressure currently sitting at around 43,760 to 43,800. Selling pressure still clearly ahead at 43,900 to 44,000. So the pullback into that zone going to make for a very nice buying event. That being said, if we break it and we lose 43,740, we could see ourselves right back down here at 43,570. So you want to be careful. Dips or buy zones. Notice what's happened over the couple of days. Reflexive action to the top. These are shorts getting squeezed. Reflexive chart coming into the bottom. That's a topping formation. The sellers try to push it down harder, and we've got another reflexive squeeze that brings the chart and traders back into bullish pressure. I believe this is headed up into the 44,000 area before it rotates lower. So I expect a punch up and then a pullback. We'll watch what happens, of course, but that's what I anticipate. Okay, inauguration yesterday, all the crypto folks were thinking that something else was going to get said, nary a word, as they say in the South. And so we had a little bit of a selling tail up in this formation. But notice, I have not changed the direction of the slope of this line. Double topping formation at that 109 to 110. It faded where? Right back into frontline support at 100,000. That looks like a ledge that buyers are definitely trying to hold. Pullbacks into that area look very nice. Also, a breach over 105,000 could give the buyers a little bit more traction to head themselves up into the 115 area, which is where the Fibonacci is suggesting that we move to next. That being said, this could be a very wide sideways pattern, meaning that if we lose 100,000, the point of control at, what is that number, 96 and some change, becomes our support. And if that doesn't hold, we get back down to 90, wash, rinse, repeat. Whole thing all over again. That's the Bitcoin story. Let's go to oil. Oil is in a fade. Very nice. Here's the thing that we need to focus on. With oil, and this is the WTI, West Texas Intermediate CL contract, this is in a buy the dip mode. And so right here at the support zone, where we had prior resistance at around 74.56, That's going to be important for the price action to come in and test. Now, my thought is that bullish traders are going to try and step in right here at the 75 area. And we can see that they have the $75 area. We definitely see that they have, but VWAP is down. And that says something. Momentum is also down. So my suspicion is that these traders will try to bounce, but if they cannot get up over $77.80, they are going to fade into deeper support. We know from the weekly chart that this thing has been sitting in a sideways range since 2022. That's going to matter. On the hourly chart, we can see that it's in a very steady decline, and that is showing us nice, clean bounces that will give us selling zones. So you might go, well, which way? How about the point of control? 77.60. If it comes into this zone and the Keltner bands and the moving averages are still down, we've got ourselves a fade that may bottom out at 74.50 and turn around and reflexively move up. A lot of chatter about oil, gas, and EV subsidies going away as we try to build efficiencies into how we spend and such. I have no idea, but I can tell you right now, oil is in a downtrend, and until it breaks this downward flow, bounces are going to be sell zones, and those early buyers here at this low edge around 75 are going to see traders come in to sell it, likely before the 77 area. My thought is that a sell might be around 76.80. All right, let's take a look at gold. Gold is holding the very lovely level around 27.40. $2,740 is incredibly important to reestablish as new support. Now, you know what I think about gold. I think that the gold futures contract is going to continue to rise because of what's going on in fiat currencies. But also, you know, we have to think about what's going on with this dollar and what ends up happening, right? Bonds are on the rise. Yields are starting to fade, and they're thinking, hey, listen, you know, this new administration might put some pressure on the Fed to push yields down a little. That is going to drive the market up. It's going to drive the stock market up. How gold is going to respond to this is continued dips or buy zones. Dips or buy zones. So let's look at the daily chart very quickly. We can see they're in a bit of a topping formation. $2,760 looks like the breakaway event. Now, what do we have? A very bullish momentum event. So what happens at the top of these momentum events when we eventually break one of these moving averages? Well, it fades. But until that happens, notice, until that happens, all the pullbacks are still buy zones. And so my thought would be, hey, wait for a pullback. Value area high is still 2,700. The support ledge I like currently is 2671, and we're a fair bit away from that right now. Okay, so if we look at the hourly chart, we can see it's grinding motion. The moving averages are very sideways. We want to watch for a break that pulls back and holds. That's going to give us a bullish pressure upward event, long at 2740, or a push up that immediately leaves the top of the Keltner channel, and that's a short into the buying areas near 2740. So I believe that longs, potentially short-lived, and shorts, potentially short-lived. But if it comes into that 2700 area, I'm going to be looking to pick up a little bit over the long term. Let's take a look at SPY. SPY has broken out of its downward trend here, and this is the second day sitting above this area. Value area high, 597, still like that as a buy zone. 603 looks like a target to take some profit, and then potentially 609 gives us a place that we might potentially have a nice short that pulls back into a higher low and gives us another run to the upside. The chart is really looking constructive to the upside just so long as it continues to hold this 593 area. If we lose 593, we could easily see 583 over the coming days. What are we looking at right now on the 1 hour chart? That is very bullish. Moving averages are up. Keltner band is up, trying to hold above the VWAP. Notice the sideways break. If we have a break above 601, shorts are going to be running for cover because they're already thinking about shorting up here in this zone. It'll push us up to that 603. If not, if we happen to lose 598 and some change, maybe 598.50, we look at that zone, immediately it tells us, hang on, I'm below the highs of the prior trading day. I need to watch for a fade that recaptures the ledge. Notice momentum is already down, but trend remains up. When that happens, it's the deeper dips that end up taking hold for reflexive buying. That number looks like 597 to me. Intraday, if 597 does not hold, 594 will be next. Let's take a look finally at the Qs. Same storyboard on the hourly, but let's take a look at the day first. Qs trying pretty hard. You know, we've gotten, I think Netflix is this afternoon, so we should have a few fireworks going. But we've broken through the trend again. Second day above this range. Frontline resistance looks like 525. Momentum still has a lot of room to climb. So breaking through these edges, we see 528 to 530 on the horizon, with dips being the buy zones. Why do I say dips being the buy zones? Because we are just changing directions off of these moving averages. So the dip action is quite likely. I like 511 to 515, but that's on a daily cycle. Intraday, if we take a look at the hourly cycle, we can see 520 would be a very nice place to initiate along, but the stop is $4 below. So you want to be very careful here. If it doesn't immediately reflexively buy, you know the dip into the point of control at 515 is more likely. With momentum, this high, dips are buys. Notice it's in the top of the Keltner band. So these dip action events are buy zones when momentum is this high and the moving averages are up. Going to give us that punch up into potentially 528 and 530. I would not be surprised to see a move up first in the morning and then a fade, or an opening range up and then another fade to the downside before it catches fire and rides again. All right, everyone, that's it. I'm trying to be very clear for my software dictation. So if you're wondering about what's with all the enunciation, lady, you know what's happening. Just want to make nice summaries for you guys so you can take price action events away with you. Okay, take care. No midday money ball today. Totally forgot I had something sitting in the middle of my schedule. We'll have an extended session tomorrow, and I'll be putting up some interesting things on the Benzinga Pro platform later today. Take care, everyone. See you at the Benzinga Options Hour at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.